What are my people at? Adamski Jaman, what up? What up, Adamski Jaman? How's everybody doing? Celestia, Jonathan, Atizore, what up? What up, everybody? Max, how you doing? Nelson, how you doing? Man, what a crazy night. What a crazy night. It seems like Zimbabweans' drama is all being squashed into the same period of time. A lot is happening in the last 6 months. A lot of crazy transitional moments. You know, I thought before we start, let's go through some house cleaning issues, right? So, we are the Tea Party, right? That's not a political party, actually, right? So, there's a lot of new people who join us every day. And it's important that you understand what this is. You see, we are the people who, we are the show that comes every day and dissects things to its deeper core, you know. We're not afraid to slay sacred cows. We give as good as we get. We generally don't believe in censorship. Over here, we don't talk about accents or talk about class systems. We're generally very open. So I would like everybody who's here, please bear with us, because sometimes the language gets hairy. Sometimes the language gets rude. Sometimes people get impassioned and they say things. But please don't come into my inbox and say clean up the language, because we've been doing this for 2 years and we've never changed. So if you don't like us, please block us. We are the Tea Party. We're not here to play games. We're here to talk about things, and we talk about them to the very end. Ladies and gentlemen, we all know what happened last night. I got a text around 6 p.m. last night from my eldest daughter. She's 15 years old, and she told me that Mutsa's dad had passed. Now, I told my daughter, you know, because they're friends. They go to the same school. They've been in school together for the last, 10 years. You know, that's my personal connection with Morgan Tsvangirai was not through politics. It's because our daughters, his stepdaughter and my daughter, were friends and go to the same school, and obviously did sleepovers and do parties and drop them at the bridge, a village, and so forth. So, on a personal level, it was kind of sad to watch my my youngest daughter is the one who broke the news to me that her friend's stepdad had passed away. I didn't know if it was true. I just said, hey, you know what? These rumors are always happening. They seem to kill him off every day on the internet. But then I was told that it was true. And then I hit up Maureen, and then Maureen confirmed it. So last night I went to a harvest house to go see comrades and pass my condolences. You know, a lot of time, I'm not a card carrying members of MDC, but I needed to. There's a lot of good comrades who have been in the trenches. Yeah, you know, brothers like Promise, Sister Maureen, a lot of good guys, Sister This Flag Days, who've held us down and who have actually walked us through the processes, because some of us are very new to this game. And they're the ones who sort of gave me some of the information that I'm about to impart with you guys today. You know, there's been many issues around this man, around Morgan Tsvangirai as the leader of the opposition. I mean, some of us have never ever known any other opposition leader. He's as iconic and he's almost as iconic as Robert Mugabe was. Because when we had Mugabe, the one person who were fighting was Morgan Tsvangirai. What up, Duchess Clear? How you doing? I loved your pictures from yesterday. So yesterday, as we're in the mood celebrating love with our loved ones and everything else, we got the news that that Morgan Tsvangirai passed away. And I think yesterday we did a show and we spoke about the succession issues. We spoke about the issues that were bogging down the MDC and that were causing some of the confusion that was happening with the 3 vice presidents. As the family mourns, as real people have to deal with the death of their father, as real people deal with the death of their husband, real people deal with the death of a brother, of their son, you know, their father-in-law dying. Real people are having to deal with the death of an icon. Zimbabweans are dealing with the death of a man who stood for them for 20 years, head and shoulders. Many people, Zimbabwean citizens, died following that man. Thousands of Zimbabwean men and women died being activists and being strong because they believed in this man's leadership and believed in this man's goal. As many of these Zimbabweans are mourning, I woke up this morning to see two tweets. The first tweet was from Vice President Nelson Chamisa, where he states, as we mourn our hero, we must remember that our party is not a de facto party, it's a proper party. So I'm calling on the National Executive to meet at Harvest House right now. And then we shall put out a statement at 11 o'clock. So I'm going to try and speed this up so that you guys can go and watch that press conference. They never start on time. It will start around 11:30. So I said, okay. The vice president of the party has declared that the national executive shall get together so there can be a smooth transition of power. Okay? Literally within 30 minutes, a tweet came out of the other vice president, Elias Mzuri. And he says, as we mourn our great hero, the national executive should meet at at Morgan Tsvangirai's home in Highlands. Kuruguchema, believe it or not. Where people are gathered to mourn the death of their father's son, relative. He says, let's go meet there at Highlands and plot a way forward, and then we'll have a press statement at 11. Ladies and gentlemen, the situation that has been left is messy. I wish, for the sake of sanity and the sake of dignity, both parties, whether Nelson Chamisa or Elias Mzuri, could have held off the factionalism so we could actually deal with the fact that an icon has passed. However, in politics, there's no such thing as love. Everything in politics is about opportunities. Everything in politics is about opportunism. So we have a situation right now where we have two different national executives for the People's Party, the biggest party that's supposed to be the opposition to the ZANU-PF juggernaut. We have those guys, two different factions of them, meeting up right now as we speak to decide the fate of the MDC. Ladies and gentlemen, today we must implore these young leaders, to not waste this opportunity to unify the party. We must implore these young leaders to not waste the legacy of the great Morgan Tsvangirai and dip themselves into these crazy, stupid, factional fights even before the man has been laid in the ground. We don't know whether the government is going to give this man national hero status. We don't know if the government is going to assist in his bill. We know nothing at the moment. And I think there was an opportunity to let people mourn and let people reflect. Let people reflect on this great man. Because if you go back in history to season 3, we did a show called Why We Must All Respect Morgan Tsvangirai. And this is because there's been a lot of criticism from about people like me because of some of the things I used to say. And you have to remember that when you're playing politics, when you're playing personalities, things are different. In politics, there was a lot of disappointment with a lot of decisions that were being made. So like we said, this is the Tea Party. We are brutal. We speak things to the end. We dig deep and we dissect situations and try and get to some truth. Okay. So sometimes these things are not personal. So we actually did an entire show where we said why we must respect Morgan Tsvangirai. Because if you go back in time and look at the team that man built and put together, you will see that was not an easy thing to do. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen, I've been a part of a couple of social movements and I'm part of a political campaign right now. And I can tell you this much. Trying to get good people and smart people to work together is very, very, very difficult. I repeat, trying to get good and smart people to sit down and work together is very, very difficult. Now, there is a reason why when you see Sten Jorwadza, chances are you see him by himself. And there's a reason why when you see Linda, you see her by herself. There's a reason why when you see Pastor E, you see him by himself. When you see Lumumba, you see him by himself. And when you see Pazaya Mahere, she's running with her team from Be The Change. You see, the logical thing is everyone saying, oh, why don't they all just get together? But it takes years and takes time, it takes dedication. It takes the kind of leader like Morgan Tsvangirai to get all these people together and say, right, Tendai Biti, Job Sikala, Walshman Mube, Togosani Kupe, all these people. It takes some great human being to get all those people, sit them down and say, right, motherfuckers, let's work together. Because you have to remember one thing, guys. Tendai Biti is a genius. He's a very smart man. Walshman Mube is a very smart man. Artham Tambara is a very smart man. Job Sikala and them were very smart people. If you look at people like, the albino, what was his name again? John Makumbe, some of the people who Tsvangirai brought together and made them sit at a table and agree to have positions beneath each other, even as great as their minds were. It took a very, very great man to do that. And I can tell you that one thing about Tsvangirai is this. When he sat and led that table, when he sat at that table with some of those brilliant minds that formed the MDC in 1999, when he sat at that table, with people like Roy Bennett, and a man who could bring together all races, all classes, all people with different types of minds. When you sit down and you're a man who can sit and lead that table, you have to know something that at that point, Morgan Tsvangirai did not even have the qualifications, the educational qualifications that some of those people who sat at that table did. I mean, Atham Tambara, for God's sake, was a robotics professor. Right? People like Nelson Chamisa, these are young, smart, young, smart men. Elsom Zuri is a very smart man. These are smart people. So to manage to get a man to sit at that table who with less qualifications than all these put together could still lead them and coerce them to make them and work together, that man is a very great man. And I can tell you that, ladies and gentlemen, because as a person who's been working with the young social movements, the new upstarts that have cropped up in the last 2 years, I can tell you that it's almost impossible to let us all have a cup of tea together. A fucking cup of tea. I think I'm the only one right now who can individually have a cup of tea with all of them, but a bunch of them don't even talk. So we must give respect where respect is due. Who is that man now that this other man, the great icon, is gone? Who is the man who's going to be able to unify the egos that exist? The egos that exist in this Twitter generation of 140 character, attention spans. Who is this man who's going to be able to see beyond his own ego? Who's going to be able to see that there's other people to work with? Who is the man who's going to say, you know what, let's all get together. Tonight, BT, PDP, you guys from Mugabe, all you independent candidates, let's get together. Let's sit down and let's become one unit force. A one big punch that can also counter the huge big punch that now we have in the new reformed ZANU-PF. Reformed in quotation marks, by the way. Because when ZANU-PF lost Robert Mugabe, they had one opportunity to get together, unite and move forward, and they did it. They did it. They found their guy, and that guy has managed to pull them together, and they did it. They expelled the bad bunch that they considered the bad bunch, who I considered the youngsters, and they regrouped. They got their junta together, and now they're in gear form. We've lost an icon on the other side now. Who is the guy? Who is the guy who can now take everybody? Elzem Zuri, Nelson Chamisa, Togozani Kupe, everybody. Who can take those guys and put them together at a table with all your qualifications, all your genius, all your ideas? The Noamanikas, the Kosana, who can take those guys, sit them down and say, let's be a united democratic force for change in Zimbabwe so that we can actually have something better for our children. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the one thing I know is that the ZANU-PF in its current incarnation has been there for 37 years. Some of them have been in wars and they never came out of wars and rehabilitated. So I don't believe they have the capacity and the vision to see behind their brutality and their repressive ways. I don't think the current ZANU-PF government has got the ability to see a fast bullet train between Bulawayo and Harare. I don't think they have the ability to say, let's put a Zimbabwe into space. And some people think I'm being stupid when I say we want to put a Zimbabwean in space. But why not? When we have people like Atom Tambara who are robotics professors and rocket scientists. Why can't we put a man on space, on the moon, like America did? Considering that the phone I'm using now is more powerful than all the computers that put an American man on the moon in the 50s. The phone I'm holding right now has got more power than all the computers that put the American man on the moon, that put Armstrong on the moon and Buzz Aldrin on the moon. The phone I'm holding has got more power. So why can't we have a Zimbabwean who also goes to the moon? We need people who can see the future. We need our own satellites. We also need our own super cities and super highways. We want highways that you can drive at 150 miles per hour so that we can get to our places safer and longer. We can't be driving to Bulawayo with road cars coming next to each other from opposite sides. That's archaic. It's barbaric. And that's why every day we lose about 50 Zimbabweans on the road. Did you know that? Who is the leader who visionized that and says, God damn it, we need to change this. Save some lives. Who's the new Zimbabwean leader who says we need to build new state-of-the-art hospitals and let's find the money and bring back 50,000 nurses who are working in the NHS right now. Let's bring them back with their best practice. Let's deploy them in this country and let's train a bunch of new nurses in the best practice in the world so that the rest of Africa can come to Zimbabwe for healthcare. And we can charge them an arm and a leg. We can become the new tourism for health in Zimbabwe. Why can't we have those kind of... Who is that visionary? Who is that visionary? Who can take Stone Wadza and all the vendors and bring them together and say, guys, how can we make this a viable industry so you guys can be employed and actually look after your families? I'm frustrated. I'm very, very frustrated. I'm very, very frustrated that we're in a situation where the death of an icon is being used as politics. I'm very, very frustrated that before the children even mourn the death of their father, we now have two different executives meeting in two different places to decide what's going to happen to the People's Party. You see, because there's no logic in why people like me are not a part of it. Why shouldn't I join the MDC? We should all be joining and forming a united democratic front against the junta. That's what we should be doing. It's very frustrating, ladies and gentlemen. It's very, very frustrating. Because I'm looking at the best years of my life withering away. I turned 40 this year. At the end of this year, I turned 40. And the best years of my life are whittling away. And by myself, there's nothing I can do. I'm nothing but a mere pawn. I found out how isolated I was last year when they took me by myself. See, I'm not Pastor E. Nobody came out for me. And nobody came and paid my bail. I can tell you that much. This individualism that's happening right now in our country is going to kill us as a nation. It's going to fucking kill us. Let me take some calls before I round up. Take some calls before I round up. If you want me to add you, please just request I add you and I'll gladly add you. My brother Todd, thank you for joining us. I apologize today. I'm not as jovial. I'm slightly sad, actually.
I think it's one of the saddest days that we've had to endure as a country. And it's sad to witness such political immaturity, that's unraveling before us. It's sad to see that people are now going for power rather than serving the people. People are so obsessed on ruling rather than providing what the nation needs. Right now, the nation of Zimbabwe needs to be united. We are mourning someone who spearheaded democracy or the fight for democracy in Zimbabwe. And that kind of disrespect is what we cannot accept in Zimbabwe. If these people can be so ruthless at a time like this, what more will they do when they're in office? These are dictators in the making, people who will not listen to the voice of the people who will not respect the wishes of the country, people who won't even respect their own constitution, which I believe they helped to draw up. You understand? How do you have two executive meetings on the same day, not even 24 hours after your leader has passed away? there must be provision in the MDC constitution which talks about what happens in the event that, you know, the president vacates office or dies or anything like that.
It exists. It exists, my brother, and I can walk it through with you, right? There's one elected vice president of the party. Her name is Thokozani Kupe. She,
Yes.
by default, needs to then take the reins of the party as an interim leader. She must call an executive congress, and people must get together, elect themselves the new president with a mandate. We're coming up to an election. We have no time to fuck around, and this is what needs to happen quickly. Now, remember, like I said to you yesterday, I'm a big Nelson Chamisa supporter.
Yes.
I think he's the face of the new revolution. However, I'm also a Democrat. I'm also a constitutionalist. I believe that if we don't follow our own constitutions, then we start to get lost.
Yes.
So I believe that there's a way for us to transition. The great icon needs to be buried as quickly as possible.
Yes.
With the hero status that he deserves, because he championed the. And the thing is, whether the junta agrees to give him hero status or not doesn't matter to us.
No, it doesn't.
If in Kenya they can swear themselves as presidents, we can give him a hero send-off. We have the capacity as the citizenry to make sure that Tsvangirai gets the hero send-off he deserves. And the junta won't be able to deny that. They won't be able to ignore that. Okay. Yeah. If we can mobilize people to come into town to march to say thank you to the junta, we can definitely mobilize buses. And I mean, we now have the expertise to get this done.
Yes.
So
yes. You know, that's true.
Sorry, brother, keep talking.
And you know, just to show how important Tsvangirai was, I was talking to my own mother this morning, and she's heartbroken. You know, she knows where I belong. She knows that the ticket I support. But the death of Morgan Tsvangirai has touched the nation. You understand? Today we forget party lines. Today we forget political differences. Today we actually focus on the fact that someone proved that when people come together, we can overcome evil. As you rightfully say, this guy beat Robert Mugabe in an election, you understand? It is possible. It was due to his...
3 times.
It was due to his persistence, you understand? This was a man who was focused on serving the nation. And he's the man, for me, he's one of the people that motivated me to be able to start speaking up. Because when we don't speak up, Kuda, when you and I decide we're not going to do anything for the people, no one else will. Someone needs to step into that gap. And now the biggest question is, who is going to unite all those people that you have talked about? Who is going to step up into that platform? Who is going to be able to say, guys, let's come together as an alliance. Guys, let's face this junta together. Guys, we need an independence, a new independence for Zimbabwe. Who is going to do that? And that is a massive, massive question. You know, people are saying, hey, too many opposition parties are coming up, so many leaders or whatever. But I have looked at the 2 main parties in Zimbabwe, ZANU-PF and the MDC. ZANU-PF I can't support because these guys are evil to the core. You understand? When you look at the MDC now, these are power-hungry leaders. And the issue I've always had with the MDC is the leadership. Not the party itself, but the leadership. You understand? And look at what they're doing now. Look at what they're doing now. I can justify why I don't support them. But the fact is, I want a democratic Zimbabwe. I want a free country. I want Zimbabwe to move forward. All the things we wish for. You know, the highways, all these new, you know, designing and manufacturing planes in Zimbabwe, making new cars. Look at Saith right now. That guy could have been making millions and multi-millions worldwide. But because the ZANU-PF government did not support him, this is a man who's off to America now. You understand? Another nation is going to benefit from our expertise. That kind of thinking in leadership cannot be accepted. We need a leader who will say, we will do everything we can to foster that kind of technology to grow in Zimbabwe, to create jobs in Zimbabwe, to safeguard the people of Zimbabwe. These were desires that Morgan Tsvangirai had. But the people around him, they've stifled that dream. They've stifled it. And they're killing us as a nation. And for me, it's totally unacceptable. We need to break that barrier. We need to push for the Zimbabwe that we want. And it's you and I, as Zimbabweans, who are going to make that difference. And we have to put in place the leaders that we know will serve a nation. I don't care about personalities. I really don't care whether they're beautiful, pretty, popular with the people or whatever. But what do they bring to the table? I may be the best looking person, but the worst employee that you have. You know, I can look good, but I will make your company go broke. And right now, the leadership in the MDCT is going to make our country go broke. They are going to be worse than ZANU-PF. I've said it, put me on record as saying it. The leadership in MDC right now is the worst leadership we've ever had in Zimbabwe. And I don't withdraw my words.
My brother Todd, I appreciate your words, my brother. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kuda.
You know, guys, I think the reason why some of these impassioned pleas are being made is not to batter the opposition in Zimbabwe. I think what we need to know as a nation is that we desperately need an effective opposition. We desperately need an effective opposition against the junta. Even if it's to sit in parliament and be the stockholders of sanity when stupid things start to happen, the guys who can sit in the middle between us and our executive and defend the rights of the people of Zimbabwe. And that's what we are crying for as a people. Who is the guy who can find and coalesce all the strong players in the country right now, all the great, brilliant minds, like Morgan Tsvangirai did in 1999, where you can get a Tendai Biti, you can get a Scala, you can get a Washman Mube, you can get a Timtambara, you can get some of the Roy Bennett, a Murungu, a farming Murungu. You can get all those people to sit behind the table. And even though you don't have the degrees some of them have, you can still lead them and defeat the Mugabe government 3 times in a row. He defeated them 3 times in a row. Who's that guy? And now, as the people of Zimbabwe, these are the big questions that we must ask. We need to be realistic, and we need to be, because we have an election coming, and we have an opportunity right now. With the emotions that are stirred up with the death of this icon, we have an opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to rally behind an actual force that can lead the nation the places that we want, where we can have a proper country. We can have a country that people book tickets to come and see, not book tickets so they can fly past it and go to Victoria Falls. You know, we want a country where our children fighting to get into the universities here because of the standards are so high. We want a country that has a space program. I really want a country with a space program. I want a country that participates in the National Hubble Space Station. I want us to be in the 22nd century. I want us to be a country where you can travel from Chitunguza to Harare in 5 minutes on a bullet train. That's what I want for my country. Let me add some people who want to be added before I keep ranting. I'm adding a couple of guys. Let's go. Ketai, how you doing, brother?
I'm all right, Kuda. I'm all right, thanks.
Please give us your contribution.
Just like any other Zimbabwean, I'm so saddened by the loss of Tsvangirai. We know he was ill, but what has been going on in MDC is so bad.
Yep.
I don't know what it represents. 3 VPs, all of them fighting to replace a living president, which is a shame to me. It's a shame.
It's a shame.
Anyway,
it's a shame.
Your question is, who can we give? Who can we trust? And how can we have the leadership that we can trust? Right? Here is my contribution. You know what, my brother? As Zimbabwean people, we are blocking our own success. This is what is happening. Because we are not changing our way of thinking. Until we change our way of thinking, then politics, we can control politics. Because we are the ones who put those people in office, we are the ones who can take them out. So please, Zimbabweans, let's change our way of thinking, our approach to politics. Right now, MDC has been a very, very effective party, being led by Morgan Tsvangirai. He went through thick and thin, trying to do things right for Zimbabweans. Anyway, it was unfortunate that ZANU-PF blocked all his efforts. It's not the people of Zimbabwe. But then, now, I'm sorry I got to mention this. We've got parties like BZA coming in, and we hear the people saying, he has come too late. What are they comparing this guy to? Because if Zimbabweans are using what the political party is offering for the country, to the country, surely they should listen to every leader, no matter who it is. They should listen to every leader. Then base their decisions on what the leadership is offering. But at the moment, we have got this polarization in our political arena. We've got those people who say, I am ZANU-PF, no one will come and rule this country because my father went to war. Excuse me. If I was there that time, I could have gone to war. But I was not there. Yes. I was too young. If everyone was there that time, surely we could have done exactly the same thing these people did. But they've taken that to be a way of what can I say? They've put us like they've put us in jail. We are like, it's like Zimbabweans are in jail. They are in jail. Yes. It's been too long. We are suffering. We are suffering. Tsvangirai is gone. His efforts has gone in vain. But good thing that I like about Tsvangirai is he paved a way, a clear field for everyone who wants to participate in politics. Yet it not been because of Tsvangirai who challenged ZANU-PF from 1999 up to now. Surely parties like BZA could have found it difficult to establish themselves. Of course. You see what I mean? But because Tsvangirai cleared the ground for us, we are now coming and say, okay, the field is clear. Let's go. Let's try whatever we can do to grab the power and then do what's right for our people. You know. On that note, I'm so saddened that Tsvangirai is gone. He did not manage to do what he wanted to do for our country, which is progressive Zimbabwe. Build a progressive Zimbabwe. He didn't do that. It's unfortunate. I'm not a strong biblical man, but I'll take a cue from the Bible at this point. You know. Yeah. After Moses led the people out of the promised land, he was the one person who was unfortunate enough not to actually see the promised land. You are right there, brother. Joshua actually did manage to then take the people across. So we now need to find out Joshua within this mess. Joshua takes the people, and we now know Moses did not cross the promised land. But we shall make sure that he's honored for his efforts to try. His legacy lives forever. His legacy lives forever. His legacy lives absolutely. Thank you very much, my brother. All right, brother. Anybody else who would like me to add them, please just say add, and I'll gladly add you to the conversation. I'll try and add anyone who wants to be added. Please just let me know if you'd like me to add you. Thank you to Ketai and whatever. I'll read some comments. I got a comment here from my brother Stan Jorwadza, who said Tsvangirai must be declared a national hero. We have decided as a people. We are now waiting for the announcement for his hero status. That's what I'm saying. We're just waiting for the junta that stopped him from taking power to either announce it or not. We don't actually care whether they do. I think the Zimbabwean people are able to award him hero status by ourselves because, well, he's our hero. We don't need them particularly to give us. We don't need them to give us the go ahead. We're capable. I'm adding a few people. Rochelle, how are you?
Hi, darling. I'm okay, thank you.
Do you mind cleaning your screen a little bit? Because we can hardly see you, Rochelle.
All right.
Cleaning your lens.
How is that?
Oh, still pretty bad, but anyway, go ahead.
I think it was my son.
We can hear you clearly, though. Okay, no problem. Go ahead.
All right. You know what? It's sad news about Tsvangirai. Honestly, I just feel down, stressed out for everything that he's done. You know, he tried so hard, that guy. He tried so hard because, I mean, you know, when he won the election, we thought that was it. Things have changed, but here we go. You know, it's unfortunate that Tsvangirai has died. Unfortunate. Somehow we all expected sooner or later, judging by his, you know, that picture, the picture, January picture. So I don't know. The only thing that I wanted to find out is what's going on with Chamisa. What is going on?
Well, the problem is there's such a shambles within the MDC top leadership right now because of the three vice president phenomenon. We have Mudzuri, who is saying that he's the last one to be made acting by Tsvangirai.
We have Coupe, who justifiably says that she's the only one who is elected to be a vice president by the party, and we have Chamisa, who has also said that he is the acting president. So we have a situation where we have a big split between the party. Yeah. So what we are saying, and remember, like I said, I'm not an MDC member. I'm from the outside looking in. And I'm saying, at this point in time, we would like to see all three of them sit down and be the leaders that we think they are, work this out, come out there, give us the best option for us to be able to fight in the next election. What we don't want to see is this nonsense of splits at this point in time, because if they do, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. So I'm hoping that those three leaders, and I have faith in all three of them, because Zuri's a smart man, Kupa is a very powerful woman, Nelson Chamisa is a very, very smart, capable man, and a friend, of someone I consider quite highly. So I hope that they stop listening to the people around them, they get together, be the leaders that Tsvangirai saw in them, sit down, make a plan, come out today forcefully with a leader, number one, with a plan, number two, and lead the way. That's what we need them to do. We need them to find us the Joshua and lead us into the promised land.
Yes, that's quite true. I just wonder what happened. Like, I'm 38. I mean, like, until no independence and everything, I've asked you to say, I've asked you Shanda Kumba or anything. As you're supposed to be like free and everything, naked and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When we were growing up, Tango was gone this journey. Vakenda kuonto ndo vanoita se ndo vanotungamira.
Sorry, I think we've lost my sister there. Please, if you're still there, please try and call back in. Sorry, we lost you. I'm trying to add my brother Stan Zorwadza right now. Stan, I'm trying to add you. If you see the thing, you just accept, please. I'm trying to add brother Stan Zorwadza. I'm trying to add you. Just click accept, Stan, if you can. Stan, you declined. I'm trying to add you again one more time. If I can add you, accept. Don't decline, Stan, because you're saying I should add you. I'm trying to add you, but then it says you're declining. My brother Stan Zorwadza, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm heartbroken, comrade. It's unfortunate that we have lost a hero, we've lost a brother, we've lost a father, we've lost a grandfather. But at the moment, our primary focus should to make and whip these unscrupulous leaders who only think about power, who only believe in themselves. We have since forgotten that the people of Zimbabwe require servant leadership, require leaders who protect the interest of the generality of the citizens of this country. In the context, Kuda, I appreciate and thank you very much, ever so much, for creating this platform. Our narrative and our positive energy should be driven to look at the possible ways of teaching these unscrupulous, power-hungry leaders who only think in terms of themselves, who do not think in terms of others, who have suffered in the hands of misrule because of the syndrome of power. Kuda, I must say, the issue about resolving their differences should not only be left in their hands. Hence, we create these leaders who feel and think that they should be driving. They should be sitting at the back, and the citizens of Zimbabwe should be driving. We are going at one point to declare and tell them what they should do. If they don't listen, we will also tell them what we are going to do as citizens. We cannot continue to lose time, to lose chances. The time was now to displace and deal with the Mnangagwa junta, a military regime. The time was now for us as citizens of Zimbabwe to decide what we want for our country. As we mourn our icon leader, our icon father and brother, we should all be focused on ensuring that we do not continue to allow these power-hungry individuals to dictate and declare what they want on the greater generality of suffering Zimbabweans.
Yes.
We are all suffering. I can tell you, Kuda, I was once a businessman earning in excess of $4 million a year. But today, I cannot afford to have eggs and sausages, on my breakfast, constantly. If I have eggs on that day, I feel I've achieved. If I bring a sausage on the table on that day, I feel achieved. But look, but I can tell you, I was earning more than $4 million per year. This record, you can go to CBZ, Borodale branch, and ask for my bank statements. I was a prominent businessman, but this all went down the drain because of poor governance. We are looking at it today. Look, today I'm not after riches. Today I'm not after power. This is why you see I'm not even interested to contest. What I want to see is to see another day where Kuda will invite me on a breakfast day with eggs, where I will be invited by Trevor Hobe to enjoy a breakfast with sausages, where I will be invited by a patient in love, a Pat Gumbo on their table to enjoy tea with marmalade, both sides of my slice. We really want to be able to teach these leaders who are only thinking in terms of power to desist from deciding for the people of Zimbabwe. What we want at this point, Kuda, is for us to have a country that will cater for everybody. And the narrative should be as straightforward as it is. It's unfortunate, my brother, but you are spot on. Currently, and as we speak, let us revisit the constitution of the MDCT. Let us read the lines. Let us see what that constitution says. And from there, we take it on from there. We mustn't continue to allow people to abuse us. We mustn't continue to allow people to take advantage of the dead to move their political mileage. Look, at the moment, I was just literally outside Morgan Tsvangirai's residence in the Highlands, but I decided to step back, move in so that I can contribute to this. What we want as a people of Zimbabwe is to mourn our leader, but at the same time be focused on what we should do as a decided people of Zimbabwe. Kuda, thanks very much for putting me on this platform. I am very emotional. I am one individual in the 90s, my brother. I used to go to Tsvangirai's residence in Ashton Park, discussing events of what would have happened from a television outcast. With Mchechetere. To me he's a brother, to me he's a father. Look, we mustn't take advantage of his death and begin to proffer this cheap politicking. We mustn't allow that. Nguva ino ndiye kuchema Save, yava yekuchema Save tinochema netariro nokuti Save vakatanga hondo huru. He is not going to be replaceable, but we will surely be able to create, like you rightfully said, another Joshua will emerge. Another true Joshua will emerge. Save win an election in 2008. You know it, I know it, everyone knows it. But he decided not to become president of this country because vakada kuti runyararo rwivepo over power. If he was a power-hungry man, and he knew for that moment I'm a militant person. But why didn't he say Zorwaza? It's because he wanted peace. I was working with Tsvangirai, I was working with Tendaibit, I was working with Nelson Chamisa, I was working with Mike Kupe, I was working with many other leaders in the political fraternity. I worked very hard for very many years to background here MDCT as a support group. I never thought that one day these guys will come here and begin to fight for power. Moreover, Alpha Kudaro, people still have the confusion. When is this confusion going to die? This is where education should be displayed. Civilization, civilized papi. Comrade Kuda, I think at this point we need to be deciding as a citizenry, and we need to be guiding these leaders Thank you very much. I'm very emotional. I'm heartbroken, but I had to say something. I'm really sorry, my brother, if I got so emotional during the process.
No, my brother, we appreciate you coming on the platform. I'll see you just now. Thank you very much for joining the platform. I'll see you soon. That is our brother Sten Rorwadza. When you walk around the world and you see a sign on toilets written men, that's one of them. That's Sten Rorwadza is a true man. I mean, in my initiation to the struggle, when I started learning about Mbomas, he's the guy who showed me that you can take a beating. Stan is a thoroughbred, hardcore man. And none of us deny that. Sten Rorwadza is a true G. So we all have to pay a lot of respects and listen to what he says. And I think after what he said, I won't go take any more calls. I think the MDCT presser by one of the principals has now started. I'm going to get off the timeline now and let you guys go and watch that. But please, we are the Tea Party. We're the bastions of sanity. We don't like fuckery. We don't like fuckery. Come on now, citizens of Zimbabwe. It's time. We have our opportunities. Windows are opening. Let's take this forward. Let's take this forward. We cannot say that we have a new dispensation when we're ruled by arms. It makes no sense. We are the Tea Party. Expect us.